listening to the Patriot Nation podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation podcast. As always, your guy Pat Lane here with my man Matt St. Jean. And Matt, we got a lot of stuff going on tonight. Celtics lost, unfortunately, tonight, but a great Celtics-Pacers matchup. Game 5 of the World Series going on tonight. And, of course, here we are as well, talking Patriots, coming off a victory for the first time since week 1. So a whole bunch of stuff going on this Wednesday night.
Yeah, this is a very, very busy point in the calendar right here with sports converging. Hockey's back, basketball's back, baseball is at its climax here with the World Series, and we're in the heart of football season. So, that's this point in October, and then that point in March where you get a lot going on with March Madness too, or kind of end of football season too. We need college basketball, and those are the two real busy spots on the calendar. And it's a lot of fun right now. A lot going on.
Yep. It's a lot of fun stuff happening, right? So, anyways, let's get right into it. Let's dive right in. Patriots, of course, coming off their victory on Sunday. Of course, sans Drake Maye, at least at the end of the game. Some questions about whether he'll be available on Sunday or not in Tennessee. The good news is he was limited on Wednesday, right? Him being limited on Wednesday is a good thing. You have to practice before you can come out of the concussion protocol. Of course, he was limited. Okay, so he's still in concussion protocol. But the good news is that it is impossible to play if you don't practice. And so him practicing is a step in the right direction. It doesn't mean he's going to play. I don't want to say it would be surprising if he plays, but a lot of times when you see a guy go out with a concussion, they typically miss a game. Right? Usually. Not all the time, but usually. So I think it would be fair to say that it wouldn't be a surprise to see him miss the game on Sunday. That being said, he still could suit up, of course, but, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there was some kind of conflicting reporting today on exactly what stage of the concussion protocol Drake Maye is in. The language that was used to describe where he's at right now could be either stage 3 or stage 4. There are 5 stages. The 5th stage is you are back. So he's getting close, which is a good spot. Hit happens Sunday. It's already Wednesday, so that's already a couple of days to recover. And before you even get into the football stuff, obviously a young man like that, when he gets concussed, it's good to see him bounce back this fast. I think kind of given the nature of the hit and how long it took for him to come out of the game, I do wonder if this was just a more minor concussion, and that's why you're seeing him bounce back so fast.
Yeah.
We don't know. We may never know. But yeah, the fact that he is already limited, he's throwing. They said he was throwing, and he was on a 30-minute time limit today.
Yeah.
And, you hope if he does well, then you can bump him up a little bit on Thursday. And then if he responds well to that, you can bump him up again on Friday. And if he continues to respond well, he's good to go this week. If not, this is why you sign someone like Jacoby Brissett, other than the mentorship thing. It's because he's good enough to help you be competitive in games. And this is a very winnable game this week against Tennessee, even if Drake Maye doesn't play.
Absolutely. And I think, you look at what Tennessee brings to the table. I mean, and that's just a complete dumpster fire over there, right? With Will Levis, and now it's Mason Rudolph is starting over there. I mean, that team is really bad. They're in a really messed up situation down there. Now, I think their defense is okay. They're not great, but you got a guy like Jeffrey Simmons on that defense, and you kind of give yourself a chance against anyone, right? When you have a dominant player like that, especially in the middle of the defense like that. But not a great team for sure in Tennessee, and first-year coach, of course. I shouldn't say first-year coach because Bill Callahan has coached before, but in his first year of tenure as the Tennessee Titans head coach. And so not exactly going as planned down there right now.
No, and it was, they're approach the season was interesting. They got Will Levis, and they clearly went all in this offseason on saying, hey, and to a degree last offseason too, we want to give him the best possible situation so that we can see what we have in him. So you go outpay the Patriots for DeAndre Hopkins last year. You go outpay the Patriots for Calvin Ridley this year. You go trade for L'Jarius Sneed in the corner room and give him a big contract. They traded for the Rams for one of their linebackers who has since already been shipped out to Seattle. And Jerome Baker is now with the Titans. That's a linebacker the Patriots played with the Seahawks back in week 2, and someone they're familiar with from his Miami Dolphins days.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the other one that they added? Well, obviously DeAndre Hopkins not there anymore.
Right, Hopkins gone.
Tyler Boyd's the other one. They brought him over from
yes.
Cincinnati in that wide receiver room. And the idea was we're going to throw a lot of money at some proven veterans and see how it works out. It hasn't, and I think most of that has been on the quarterback. They are. I'm gonna refresh the page right now in Pro Football Reference just to make sure this is correct. Part of this, I think, is bye weeks. But Pat, the Tennessee Titans defense is number one in the NFL in total yards allowed. The Tennessee Titans are 29th in points allowed.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
It's the sheer number of turnovers that they have. They have 10 interceptions, which is the worst mark in the NFL right now. And they've also given up points on special teams. Special teams unit is one of the worst in the NFL. So, the reason that yardage total is so low for the defense is because teams are starting on very short fields. I think if you're New England, you expect to go out there on Sunday, force turnovers, and take advantage of that yourself.
To your point, right? Just to your point, because I think that's, it's an important distinction to make. Okay. On Sunday, the Tennessee Titans had 416 total yards of offense. The Detroit Lions had 225 yards of offense. The score was 52-14. So you're talking about they almost doubled up the Lions with points scored, and they lost 52-14. That's downright impressive. I mean, that is downright impressive. You give up a punt return for a touchdown. You give up another long punt return that ends in a short field. You give up an interception that ends in a short field. You give up a fumble that ends in a short field. It's insane when you look at the number of turnovers and bad plays on special teams they've had as well. And it's just it's unbelievable. I mean, at one point, Jared Goff had 28 passing yards. They had 28 points. It's just unbelievable that is even a real thing. And that's, it's crazy to think about. I mean, Jared Goff finished with 85 yards passing. 85 yards passing. And they scored 52 points. It's wild.
Yeah, the Titans have turned the ball over. They haven't had a single game this year without a turnover. Yeah, we'll get that out of the way. They've only turned the ball over once in 2 games this year. One of those was their 20-17 home loss to the Colts earlier this month, and the other one was their 31-12 win at the Miami Dolphins. In that, just a horrendous football game. That game was just an abomination. Defensively, they have forced 3 turnovers this year. They are dead last in the NFL in turnovers on offense and defense. They've turned the ball over 16 times and forced 3. Just think about that for a second.
Not a good combination. Not a good combination.
And a lot of this has come from Will Levis. We don't know if he's going to play. He's injured. He's back to throwing in practice. Yep. So he may or may not. Mason Rudolph hasn't been a whole lot better. Mason Rudolph has played in 3 games. He has 3 picks. Levis has played in 5 games. He has 7 picks. So you're going to get a turnover-prone quarterback there regardless.
Yeah.
And then each of those guys has 3 fumbles too. Both quarterbacks have 3 fumbles.
So if you can get after the quarterback, which the Patriots have not been able to do, but if you can get after the quarterback, you can strip the ball from him, number one, and then you can force him into making bad throws. And that's the hope, right? Of course, they lose DeAndre Hopkins. They didn't have him last week either, but they lose DeAndre Hopkins, and now you feel like, okay, you're just now throwing to Calvin Ridley. Well, we have a pretty good corner on one side. We just, in my opinion, you just say, Gonzo, just take away Ridley for the game and just be done with it. Who else are they going to throw to? Tyler Boyd? Like, we got it. We'll be all right. You know what I mean? And so, I think that's the approach they're going to have. Of course, Tony Pollard's still in the backfield. Tyjae Spears. These are both fine backs, but nothing special. And so, I think for the Patriots, they have to look at it and say, like, all right, I think we should be able to win this game. Another interesting stat for you. How about this stat? Another interesting stat. The Lions have played 8 games. Okay. So far, the first 7 opponents that the Lions have played have all lost. I'm sorry, that's not true. 6 of the 7 opponents that the Lions have played before Tennessee lost the week after they played. The only team that didn't lose the week after they played was the Dallas Cowboys, and that's because they had a bye the week after they played. But guess what happened when they played the very next game? They lost. So no team this year has won a game after playing the Detroit Lions. Yeah. Who did Tennessee play last week? The Detroit Lions. And so just, something to pay attention to. That's all.
Tennessee, the Titans have 1 win this year. They've scored over 17 points once in a game. That was that Miami Dolphins game. They have allowed at least 20 points in every game except for that Miami game. So that Miami game is very much an outlier here. Mm-hmm. And that felt like kind of a perfect storm of circumstances for the Dolphins to totally fall apart in that one, less so than Miami or than Tennessee doing anything that was particularly good. So, I think if you're New England here and you have a football team that takes the field on Sunday, you already feel pretty good about your odds, relative at least to any other opponent you're going to play this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's, we'll see ultimately what happens there. But I think that that's certainly something that we should be looking at, saying, like, we feel pretty good about the spot that we're in, playing against the Tennessee Titans team. And again, the Patriots, I know the Patriots won last weekend, right? But the Patriots aren't exactly a great team, okay? But what they showed on Sunday is that they still have some fight in them, right? And so what the hope is that you can see that fight on Sunday in Nashville, and you can be just a little bit smarter than you were, right? And if you're a little bit smarter than you have been in the past, and you're a little bit smarter than Tennessee, then you can come away with a victory. And now, again, you're 3-6. With or without Drake Maye, you have Drake Maye playing the following week, in Chicago against Caleb Williams, against, in my opinion, a beatable Bears team. I know the Bears are pretty good, but they're definitely beatable. And so
they're not superhuman,
right? And so and then you look at it. If you're 4-6, then you're coming home, and so. Anyways, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I do think that the Patriots are in a position right now where we could look up in a few weeks and be like, oh, okay, well, they're not going to the playoffs or anything, but they've looked a little bit better than we thought.
Yep. No, and I think you look at the schedule down the stretch for New England. Like you said, the next 2 games are winnable. Your 2 after that are the Rams and the Dolphins, and we just don't know what we're getting out of those. The Colts are in complete disarray right now, which we want to talk about the Anthony Richardson situation real quick. It's not Patriots topic, but this is the topic of the day in the NFL.
It's wild.
Yeah. I was fully willing to kind of defend the Colts here, given that multiple players came out after the game and were kind of like, yeah, we don't know what's going on with him. Like, clearly upset that Anthony Richardson had subbed himself out during the game for a play, and guys in the locker room don't like that. And I kind of figured, all right, this is a thing where he's losing the locker room and he's having some issues and he's not playing well. So we're going to sit him for a game, 2 games, maybe 3 games, give him some reset time, and then let him come back. Mm-hmm. And then today and yesterday, it has not felt like that at all. It feels like the team is It feels like an ownership decision, to be quite honest. And you got players finding out about it in the press, and it feels like he's benched for good the way they're talking about it. So, he's been terrible. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. This is not going as well as they had hoped, but this reeks of an organizational issue to me.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, the Austin Gale tweet where it's like, he was 225th out of 227 players that have, over 250 attempts or whatever since the year 2000. He's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league in the last 25 years. Like, yes, that's all true. However, you drafted this guy at number 4 overall, knowing that he was a huge, massive project. And then you threw him into action last year, probably when he wasn't ready, right? And you were shocked that he sucks. And things haven't worked out this year, obviously, right? But yeah, the kid's a work in progress, right? And maybe he has too far to go. Maybe he's never going to get to that point. I don't know. But you invested a top 5 pick into this guy. And again, maybe Indy's just saying, screw it. We're just going to rebuild, right? And that's fine. Only I feel like he gives them a little bit of, I think Flacco gives them a little more juice. Flacco puts him in
a better quarterback right now.
Right? I mean, he's a better player. But then it's like, well, then you're not tanking. You're trying to win. And your team sucks. Right? And so it's like, now you're trying to win with your 40-year-old quarterback. And listen, Flacco makes them better. And it's fun to actually watch them when they have Flacco. And frankly, right? If you're a fantasy football player, you want Joe Flacco starting, right? Because you have Jonathan Taylor and you have Josh Downs, you have Michael Pittman, and those guys all catch the pass, all catch balls. But, the real truth is that, it's a situation where if I'm the Colts, I'm looking at it saying, this is a joke. If I'm a Colts fan, this is a joke.
There's kind of 3 possible reasons why this happened. The most worrisome is that ownership called down and was like, hey, this isn't working, pull the plug, we want the vet because we want to win now. The second is almost as worrisome, which is that your coach is so worried that he might lose his job if this team isn't good that he is sabotaging a development plan for it.
Right.
And then the third is that, assuming this isn't about a leadership thing with him subbing himself out, is that he has been that bad behind the scenes with his developmental process.
Yeah.
But they're just giving up on the project already. They already know he isn't it. And we've heard this before. You read stories about how, when you have draft picks coming to the building, sometimes you just know the first practice, the second practice, if the guy is going to be a guy or not. And maybe Richardson came in and it just clearly wasn't the guy, but they thought, all right, we'll give him the offseason, see how he looks year 2. He's clearly still not working out. And they're like, all right. And then you add the subbing himself out thing, and it's like, all right, that's the final straw. You're done. And it's a short leash, but with very few exceptions, teams are usually right when they pull the plug. Yeah, it's the exceptions are notable because they are so rare. Baker Mayfields and Geno Smiths happen, once every 5 years, typically.
Well, yeah, it's interesting though. It's happened multiple times already this year. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, right? It is kind of interesting to see.
The Darnold thing, to me at least, feels like it's starting to slow down a little bit already.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, but he's looked pretty good. By the way, I saw. Speaking of Sam Darnold, I saw multiple rumors that the Patriots are going to be in on a Jordan Addison trade.
Yeah, I think that was BS. Yes.
Make sense. If you're Minnesota, what the hell? Why would you ever do that? If you're Minnesota,
well, he's had off-field issues. So if his off-field issues are so bad that you're willing to trade him, I don't know how interested I am.
Well, that's the thing, right? If you're you're getting a talented guy, I suppose, but a guy that is he going to really be part of your rebuild? I mean, I almost feel like if he's a talented guy that has off-field issues, that's more of a playoff type team, right? Like a Kansas City type thing, where it's like, let's bring him in, see if he can last the year. If we could just hold on to him for the year, and then, if he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. You know what I mean? So,
and that's the kind of move I think I'd be okay with the Patriots making. I don't think Addison's on the market. This all seems to be just conjecture.
Yeah,
but
right.
hypothetically, if you were on the market for a cheap price, I'd be interested if I'm New England because he's a talented player, and if you fix him, you have a very talented young wide receiver under contract for a couple of years. I'd still be interested even if there are some red flags there, but I don't think this is happening. I don't think. Yeah, I'm not reading anything into that. I will say, there was discussion about the Patriots possibly being more aggressive at the trade deadline, and I'm totally okay with that. If there are players who you believe you can sign long term, I am willing to do that. If there are guys who are already under contract for multiple years that you think you can acquire who could be useful, I am okay with that. I'm probably not giving up my first or second round picks unless it's a real high quality player involved. But yeah, the Bears did it last year. They traded for Montez Sweat as a 2-6 team right at this spot, and that has worked out for them. So I'm not opposed to the idea.
Well, and I think that's to me at least, that's a huge part of it for me, is that if you can pull off what the Bears pulled off, right? And that was a big risk for the Bears, of course, right? Didn't work out the year before with Chase Claypool, right? They did the same thing the year before with Chase Claypool when it was a mess. But it worked out with Montez Sweat because he's a very good player. Guys like that aren't available. They're just not available. And so if you can get a guy like that in the building, sure, okay, no big deal. We'll send you a second-round pick for it because the guy is that good. But then when we do that, we're going to sit there and say, all right, yep, we've made this trade, fine. But now this guy's signed long-term, and it's worth it for us to do that because he's signed long-term. And so you give up the second-round pick, but you get a really good player in return. And, I wouldn't necessarily hate that. I don't know if there's anyone like that available. I just can't imagine someone like that coming available at this point. But if you can get a true, and really realistically for me, when you look at the Patriots, I think if they could get a true edge rusher, think about if they had a true edge rusher who also could set the edge, right, in a way that Montez Sweat can do. I mean, that makes their team a million times better. And those guys are hard to find, right? So I would be totally fine with giving up a second-round pick for that. I just don't think there's anyone like that available on the trade market right now.
What if it were T. Higgins? I know he's going to be a free agent, presumably, but if they put him on the market, if let's say the Bengals lose this weekend to the Raiders, I think it could be 2-7. You lose at home to the Raiders, you are out of the playoffs after that point. They say they want to trade him. Depending on who's in the market, whoever trades for him might be the team that just signs him long term. That might be how that goes.
You would.
So if that's how it's going to be, would you give your second up to go get him right now?
That's a great question. I kind of lean towards yes. I kind of lean towards yes. We need that number one stud wide receiver so badly. And I know, a lot of people talking about Tet in the first round and, all sorts of different, Travis Hunter maybe in the first round. I get that. But to have the ability to get a guy like that in the building, sign him long term, right? Of course, I'm only making the deal if I'm guaranteed to sign him long term. Right? I'm not making the deal until I've talked to him and worked out a long term deal with him, right?
Yeah.
But for me at least, I look at it and say it's worth it simply because of what you would get in return, right? You get a really good player, and a player that in this moment you have, right? Now you're doing it hypothetically because someone else is going to trade for him. You don't trade for him, someone else is going to trade for him and sign him to a long-term extension. Of course, I'd rather trade a third-round pick, but I would probably send my second-round pick for T. Higgins, assuming I can sign him to that long-term deal. I think he's that important to you. As far as the structure of the offense is concerned and kind of slotting guys down. Because I do think Kayshon Boutte's a pretty good player. But, we have to slot him down. He can't be the number one guy, right? And so that really becomes the issue for me is like, slotting guys in the way. If we can get a true number one stud wide receiver, and then you get that first round pick and you move back and you pick up a bunch of extra picks because you can move back in that spot, and maybe draft a left tackle or something like that.
Yeah. Side note, speaking of Booty, we're going to have to hit a break here in a sec, but speaking of him, man, has he come on this year. I know he's got the drops, but I just want to take some time here to eat crow on this because I was wrong.
Not alone.
He tested very poorly at the combine, and that was 18 months after his injury in college. And my take was that if it's been 18 months and you haven't gotten your athleticism back, it's not coming back. And if it's not coming back, then I don't know how much I want you at that. If you're that athlete now,
right?
He looks so much faster. I mean, he looks quicker to me in the regular season and in the last month than he looked in the preseason. Like he looks like he's a different athlete, right? Maybe it's because he changed his number. Maybe that's all this is, and this thing's playing tricks on us here. But I mean, he ran some genuinely very good routes against Sauce Gardner last
Turned
week.
him around on that last play.
Yeah, and even plays where he's not targeted, just going through the tape. There were a couple of plays where it's like, oh wow, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
So credit to him. He's a guy who has kind of played the X for them. He played it with no Polk last week, and I think Polk back at practice. You would assume at this point he'll be good to go for Sunday. He's limited now. Will probably be good to go for Sunday. What I want to see is Booty as your X, Pop as your slot, and then you rotate Bourne and Polk in the flanker role, which I think put both of those guys in a better spot. I don't even hate the idea of having Pop line up further outside some of the time and slipping Bourne and Polk into the slot, especially the way you want to run block. You get some of your bigger guys inside near where you want to run, and you can get Douglas outside the numbers. And but yeah, no, I was impressed. Booty has to work on his hands. He had 2 drops he can't have, so let's not do that again. But it generally impressive stuff from him.
It's one of those things with Booty, and look, I mean, he wasn't the only one to drop passes, right? We had 5 drops on Sunday with, 2 by Booty. Was it 2 by Bourne? Or was it 1 by Bourne?
Bourne. Yeah,
it was bad. A bunch of drops, right? And so, Taekwon had 1. And so it's frustrating, right? And you look at it and say, just catch the ball. You got to get open. You got to catch the ball. Those 2 things, right? And let me give a start on Jalen Poole, but hopefully he can rebound. But yeah, I mean, Booty has looked like their best receiver, and he did not look to your point. He didn't look like that guy in camp. He was just another guy in camp, and he did show flashes every now and again.
He was their most productive player in the preseason, but that was against 2s and 3s.
Right. In training camp, when you were watching them in camp, from snap to snap, he just looked like another guy. Like another guy out there. Nothing special. I thought Polk played better than him in camp. Again, the game's a little different. I thought Polk played better than him in camp. I thought he was kind of on the roster bubble. I wasn't sure if he was going to make it or not. Of course he did. And, and he's credit to him. He's worked his butt off to get where he is right now. And I think that, for me, at least, I look at it and think, we have something with him. Now, I don't know what we have with him. I don't know if he's going to be a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 3 on a good team. But if you get in my opinion now, you get a true wide receiver 1, a T. Higgins type stud star wide receiver. Put him at the wide receiver 1, and you put Booty at 2, and you have Pop in the slot. That's not bad. And then you rotate in Bourne and Polk. All of a sudden, your receiving core isn't that bad.
And whatever, if Javon Baker turns into something here, which, he didn't do much. He didn't really. He was active, but not really in an offensive role on Sunday. Maybe that changes this week. I think you want, if he's growing, if he's ready for it, what you want right now, if you're not making a move at the deadline, is that top 5 of Booty, Bourne, Polk, Pop, and Baker. let the young guys play. So, you look at the deadline too, and, can you get anything for Taekwon? Can you get anything for KJ Osborne? I don't think you necessarily have to trade both. You'd love to keep one of them probably as a little insurance, and probably depends on what you can get back for either one. But you want you just want that extra body there just in case something happens, somebody gets hurt, whatever.
That's really what it comes down to, right?
Yeah, and maybe you keep Osborne for that just because he's, experienced, a veteran. He's not going to give you a whole lot, but he's just like a super steady receiver who can play all the spots in the field and knows the offense, and that's useful for backup. So
yeah,
I
think if I can get anything for him, he's gone. So
yeah,
we'll see. But if I don't know if they can get anything for him, but allegedly they've received calls about Taekwon and Osborne, and honestly, I'd be totally fine moving on from both of those guys. So you're not going to get much, but I'd be totally fine with it.
Yeah, and we're doing we have our fan survey over on Pat's Pulpit. And one of the questions this week is, what approach do you want to see teams take, the Patriots take at the deadline? And the only options that we gave, we have buy, hold steady, sell conservatively, or sell aggressively.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people in the comments are saying is the fifth option that I didn't put on there because I'm an idiot and I didn't think about it. But it's the mix of both buy and sell at the same time. Right. Sell on somebody like Taekwon, sell on someone like they already did, like Joshua Uche. Which did we talk? We haven't talked about that, have we?
No, but we'll get into it after our break.
Yeah. A mix of that with acquiring players, and I'm totally down for that. I think at this point you're looking to acquire value and acquire talent, and you can do that either through buying or selling at this point, depending on what the value of the draft picks are and the value of the players that could be coming in are.
100% true. 100% true. Yeah, we'll talk about the Uche pick, but the Uche trade. I'm sorry, but let's get into our first ad read, and of course that ad read comes from me. It is from PrizePicks, and PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Now, here's the deal, right? And again, right, it is the best place to get real money sports action. There's 10 million users, and you're going to sign up today. Now, it invented the flex play, which means that you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And they now offer Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season, which is real nice. So this week for me, my PrizePicks lineup for this week. So last week I went with 2. And when I went with 2, right, because I went with 2, my Drake Maye got hurt. So he was in the lineup, but I canceled my lineup because there's only one other guy. So I was like, you know what? Let's play 3 instead. So this week I'm going with 3. I'm going Devon Achane with more than 34.5 receiving yards. James Cook with more than 86.5 rushing plus receiving yards. And Kirk Cousins with less than 33.5 passing attempts. Now, what you're going to do is sign up today, download the app PrizePicks, and you're going to get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. You're going to use the promo code CLNS to do that. So what are you going to do? Download the app PrizePicks, put in the promo code CLNS, and after you play your first $5 lineup, you're going to get $50 instantly. PrizePicks, run your game. All right.
Yeah. Pat, I'm going to totally derail the show for just a second here.
Let's do it.
Because while you're doing the ad read, got myself nice and distracted over here.
Love it.
I forget the name of it, but the New York Times little game where you have to organize things into groups of 4.
Yes. I forget. Is it categories? It's not categories. I forget, but either way, I know what you're talking about.
They have a new one, and it's sports terms that you have to group into groups of 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll send you a link to this after. I just clicked the link to see how it goes, and I'm liking it already with just what the grid is. So
I like that.
We're not sponsored by them, but it does look fun.
I'm a fan of that. Any of those time killing games where you have to match things up or do whatever, or there's the what's it called? The
Wordle?
perfect. No, what's the perfect? What's the grid? Immaculate grid. Jesus
Immaculate
Christ.
Grid, yeah.
There's the
I'm so
Immaculate Grid
bad at that.
one.
I never play Immaculate Grid.
I'm terrible at it. I don't play it anymore either. But there's a whole bunch of options there. A fun one that I do, it's a math one, but there's a fun one that I do. It's called All 10, which they give you 4 different numbers, and you have to get all of the numbers 1 through 10 using those 4 numbers with the operations. And you have to use all 4 numbers every time. So it's like fun. So it's like
nerd.
It's like 1, 1, 4, and 3, right? And so you do like 4 times 3, which is 12, minus 1, which is 10, right? And it's like all these things. So, anyways, it's like a 100% nerd thing for me, but it's a lot of fun. It's like fun little combinations and stuff. So
I love it. That's fun.
Yeah, but anyways, all right, let's get into the Uche, Josh Uche trade. Look, the Patriots traded Uche. They got a 2026 6th round pick back. And Greg Bedard was very critical of them. A lot of people have been very critical of them for that trade. The fact of the matter is, it's a good trade for the Patriots. I know he had a good year in 2021. I know. Or 2022. I'm sorry, he had a good year. Good for him. He hasn't since. He really just hasn't done that since. And so, you're looking at it saying he took less money to stay here, which is great, and we appreciate him doing that. At the end of the day, he wasn't coming back. And the way that, the way the compensatory picks work, and I know that that's probably the compensatory pick you would have gotten for him would have been something around a 6th round pick, just because he's an edge rusher, right? And he'll get stuff, he'll get a contract. But the contracts coming in cancel the contracts going out. There was a 0% chance with the amount of cap space the Patriots have this year. There's no chance they were getting a compensatory pick back for Joshua Uche. So you trade him now, you get that, quote unquote compensatory pick back from the Chiefs, and you move on because, frankly, you're not losing a ton when you don't have him. I'm sorry to say that, but you're just not losing a ton. He is a very he's a situational pass rusher. And like the Patriots just simply aren't good enough to have a bunch of those guys on the roster. And certainly not when you can get something for a guy that's basically a rental.
Yeah. No, and I think this is the right. I'm not thrilled with like the return on him, but like the market. You can only deal with what's going on right now. If Uche were having a better season here, then you would get a better return. But if you were having a better season, you're also probably not trading him either. You might be looking to keep him. It's not a bad player. He's just up and down. He is a pass rusher. He is a one-trick pony. So he's going to be on the field for certain situations. Like same number of snaps. Like it's not gonna like this is what he does. He's a pass rusher. That's it. He's going to play, 200, 250 snaps for you a season. Doing that. He just hasn't been good enough at it to really be a value for them. 2022 was an awesome year. It was a breakout year for him. He had a ton of sacks, 12 sacks, I think, in 2022, something like that.
11.5, I think it was.
Yeah,
you might be right.
I've got his PFF credits in with 12. That's just what I have open here. He had a pass rush grade of almost 90 that year, and it's dropped off. It's been, around 70 the 2 years since then. So it's not bad. He's still useful. He's still a valuable player, but he's very much a role player at this point. So he wasn't going to be part of the future of this team because you can always look for a guy who can do that and more. And for Kansas City, he makes you better right now. He's depth for them. So I'm fine with it. Great guy. Hope it works out for him there.
Yep. Yeah, and that's ultimately all you can really hope for, right? Is that you move on from guys at the right times, you make those right decisions, right? And again, a guy that can do what he has done the last few years is replaceable. Just is. And so, you're not going to have a guy long term. You're focused on the long term right now. If you're not going to keep him, why are you keeping him around? doesn't make any sense to do that. And so,
Yeah.
I totally understand where the Patriots are coming from. I get it. The other thing you got to think about now is, and one of the other reasons why I don't really want the Patriots to make any more real trades. Deontay Johnson's like a pretty good wide receiver. He's not a great wide receiver. He's like a pretty good wide receiver. He got traded to Pittsburgh along with a 6th round pick for a 5th round pick. They did a pick swap for Deontay Johnson. Like, that's not great. That's like pretty bad value. I mean, you got to think about they moved up maybe 15 spots, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're
from
not,
the 6th to 5th round. That's
if that's the
nothing.
market for Deontay Johnson, either the NFL is very, very low on him, or you're not getting anything for KJ Osborne and Tyquan Thornton.
Right.
It's also, I tweeted this out the other day. The Ravens are assembling like their wide receiver core right now is the Avengers of receivers who will drop important passes for you. And like Nelson Aguilar, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, Deontay Johnson. I just put a pin in this and come back to me in like the second quarter of the AFC Championship game or whatever when one of those guys drops a pass on a key 3rd down. Like, it's gonna happen. We know how this works.
Well, and you almost look at it and look at a situation with Zay Flowers last year, playing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, right? And fumbles right at the goal line. You're like, and it's a great play by the Chiefs, but like, you got to hold on to the ball, man. Like, you can't lose the ball at the goal line in the AFC Championship game, right? And so, I'm really interested to kind of see where they go, because I think Baltimore, and look, I mean, Baltimore, I feel like does this every year, but I think Baltimore, and by the 4th quarter comes around and guys are like, dude, screw this. I'm not tackling this guy anymore, and he just wears defenses down. And that's so important to have in the playoffs. And so I just think, you put him on a team that's good like Baltimore, and he could be a real force.
Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see. The AFC playoffs will be interesting because right now it seems like Kansas City's destined for that 1 seed, but they play at Buffalo in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
I think so. Yeah,
soon.
I think it's
That'll be a massive game
for
seeding. Because whoever wins that's probably your 1 seed. Whoever loses is probably your 2, and Baltimore is going to be your 3. But but also right now I think Pittsburgh would be the 3 seed. Denver's in the playoffs. The way things look right now, this is. I very obviously do not think the Patriots are a playoff caliber team with the way that they have played. But also, the way the schedule breaks down for you right now, you got a chance to win some games in the back half of the season here. Like, you can win this one, you can win the Bears game, you can beat the Colts. You win those, you'll have 5 wins at the bye. You'd be 5 and 7, 5 and 8 at the bye, which isn't great.
Right.
You're probably not a playoff. You probably need to win 4 of the next 5 if you wanted to try to be in this conversation. You need to beat the Dolphins or the Rams in this if you wanted to be in this conversation. But after the bye, you'd have 2 division games against the Bills plus winnable games against the Cardinals and Chargers, and 9 and 8 probably gets you into the AFC playoffs this year. The way things look, right. I don't think there's a realistic shot that this team gets to 9 wins. But if Drake Maye continues to grow and the receivers continue to grow, this team will win more games than we expected. That part I feel good about.
Yeah, I agree. Again, 9 wins seems unlikely, especially since you have to go 7-2, from here on out. And like you said, you play the Bills twice in that 9 games. But still, it's not.
You could get to 7 wins this year. I think that's definitely doable.
which is extremely unexpected. I'll tell you what, I gotta bet on them winning over 5.5. So it'd be nice if they could pull that off for me. I'd appreciate that. So
7 wins is beat the Titans, beat the Bears, beat the Colts, beat the Cardinals, beat the Chargers. You're gonna have a chance in all of those. You gotta play better than you have played if you want to win those. But
I mean,
it's not.
Well, put it this way, right? You should beat the Titans, and you probably should beat the Colts. right? Now, you might not beat the Cardinals, and I can see why you wouldn't necessarily beat the Cardinals, but I think that you give yourself a chance in those games at least. And so anyways, that's the way I look at it. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention on here, but I forget what it was. Someone mentioned about Marcus Jones, like licking his lips, about licking his chops about playing this Tennessee team. Bad special teams with Tennessee.
Oh,
Marcus, of course, had a 62-yard punt return against the Jets. He's real good, and he can give the Patriots a little bit of a spark. And so, hopefully that's the case this weekend as well. But score in any way you got to score, right? Whether that's running the ball down their throat, whether it's scoring on special teams, whether it's a pick six, whatever the case may be. You got to do it. Yes, it was James. Thank you, James. Appreciate it. It was far up, and I wasn't going to go scrolling. And I appreciate you, James. But anyways, so I think that the Patriots at least have a chance to to make some noise here and hopefully win a game. Now you get two straight wins. You're feeling good about yourself, and
yep.
So we'll see what happens.
Start to build something.
Yeah,
this is PFF, so grain of salt as always with their stuff. The Patriots rank 4th in special teams grade this year. The Titans are 30th.
Yeah, not good.
And it is, not a close 30th. With special teams, a lot of these teams are grouped pretty closely together, like a point away from one another. The Patriots have a grade of 90.7, and the Titans were 61.6.
Yikes.
That's rough. The only two teams worse than them are the Raiders and the Dolphins. So, in the past, play the Dolphins again. This will also be something to look for, ability to make them pay on special teams there.
Well, what's interesting about that is that the Patriots have that good of a record. They've had a kick blocked, and they've had a punt return for a touchdown against them. And they've had a few long kick returns as well against them, too. So, interesting.
I don't know everything that goes into that grade, the black box with PFF, because I don't know if I would expect the Patriots to be that good on something like that.
Right.
I'm seeing where they are on special teams DVOA right now, just out of curiosity.
Well, I think too, like when you look at what Behringer has done, right? I think Bryce Behringer's had a great year, and so I can certainly see why maybe that's the case.
Yeah, so, Patriots are 17th in special teams DVOA, but Tennessee's dead last, 30 seconds. So
right.
This is a game where you expect to have an advantage. There, you expect to have an advantage in turnover differential, and then take advantage, capitalize.
100%.
Complimentary football.
Absolutely. So,
can we go through the injury report? Because I think that is very noteworthy this week.
Yes, let's do that. Obviously, Drake Maye, right, top of the list, limited. Again, concussion, we'll see. Someone had asked about the concussion protocol. We kind of mentioned it. It is a 5-step program. That last step of the program is that he is looked at by an independent neurologist. Mm-hmm. So it is not the Patriots that clear him. It's not even the NFL. It's an independent neurologist, I guess technically hired by the NFL, but it's an independent neurologist, not the Patriots, that are clearing Drake Maye to play this weekend. Do you want to continue the rest of it? I just figured I'd start off with obviously Drake Maye is number one on that list.
Yes. Well, I'm going to start with the guys who didn't participate in practice on Wednesday. Linebacker Christian Ellis with an ab injury. Tackle Vidarian Lowe with ankle and shoulder. And defensive tackle Jaquelin Roy with neck issue. This is tough because I think all three of those guys were probably on our better than expected list from Sunday. We talked about Ellis playing better. I thought Roy made some strides from the Jacksonville game. Vidarian Lowe has been solid at left tackle. I think allowed 2 pressures. I noticed on either the game-winning touchdown run or the 2-point conversion, I think it was the run, that Lowe seemed to get up slow after the pile. But I just assumed, he was tired. Was pushing guys and, just relieved. So he took his time getting up. Missing practice is tough. I like what he could be for this team, but you got to stay on the field. He's had real issues staying healthy.
Well, and that's one of those things that is frustrating because he has played well, but he can't stay healthy. And you do feel like the Patriots are a little cursed where it's like Vidarian Lowe's playing healthy. No, I'm sorry, he's getting hurt. Oh, Christian Ellis now is playing well as the linebacker. No, he's hurt. Jaquan Roy, oh, he's shown. No, he's hurt. And you're like, come on, dude. Like, so hopefully those guys can come back. I don't know how serious the injury was. It wasn't something with any of these guys that it was noted after the game by anyone that was in the locker room that, hey, this guy was struggling with an injury or whatever. And so maybe those guys can play. But then again, Ramondre Stevenson, I know he came out of the game at one point, but there was no real talk about his injury, and he was just out. So, there's certainly a chance that could happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens there, and plenty of time for these guys to get healthy before Sunday still. This is Wednesday. A lot of times where guys will be out Wednesday and then come back. The limited participants. Let me get my auctioneering voice on here. This is a long list. Cornerback Alex Austin is at the top of this list right now. The Patriots started his clock from returning from injured reserve. Yep. So he'll be eligible to practice and return at any point in the next 3 weeks. They'll have to make that decision. Kyle Duggar, Daniel Akwale, who missed last game, Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Jones, Michael Jordan, Marty Mapu, Drake Maye, Jalen Polk back in practice. He's limited. Layden Robinson, Sony Takitaki, Jelani Tavai, Keon White.
Rough. Real rough. It's a lot of guys.
And maybe they're playing games with this a little bit.
Yep.
But, that's a lot of names.
Yeah. And starters, too, right? Jordan, Duggar, who, of course, didn't play. But, you look at it and you're like, man, these guys, there's a lot of guys that can help, right? Ukwale, who, again, didn't play last week either. But, there are guys that you like. They're a better team when these guys are healthy. And that's,
The only guys on this list of the 16 players listed who don't play significant roles for them, Alex Austin, Layden Robinson, as of right now, is not in the starting lineup, and Taki, who is still, working his way back from an off-season injury. Everybody else is a contributor. These guys, that's 13 contributors, either out of practice or otherwise banged up for you right now, plus other guys who are already here. It's not great.
Yeah. So we'll see. And hopefully those guys, and, Jack mentioned the old Belichick trick where everyone's on the injury list. And hopefully that's the case. We'll see. So ultimately we'll just see what happens. So, but yeah, like you said, it is only Wednesday. So there is time for these guys to be healthy. But if they're not healthy, that's a problem, right? That's a big concern for the Patriots. And I know Tennessee stinks. I know they're not good. Doesn't really matter if they're good or not, right? They gave Houston a game. No, they didn't give Houston a game. Yeah, they gave Houston a game a few weeks ago, did they not? Or maybe that's India I was thinking about last week. But Tennessee, it doesn't matter. As they say, these guys get paid to play football too, right? They get paid too. They may not be that good, but you give them enough time and enough space and whatnot, and they can beat you. So Patriots need to come in focused, and I think I was happy with what happened with the Patriots on Sunday. I was happy to see the way they came out and the fight from them. And let's just hope that we see that moving forward the rest of the year, because it was nice to see.
Yeah. At this point last year, when you're talking about, show and fight, Patriots did that against Buffalo, came out, set the tone, late drive to win the game, all that stuff. They came out firing early the next week against Miami too, had an early touchdown in that game. And then they went right back to their old ways. So, you're going on the road here. You don't want this to be like that. This is, if you lose this game, you lose this game. The Patriots are not that good of a team. If it's for set playing, that happens.
Right.
You have to be competitive the whole way, at the very least. If you lose, this has to be close. You still want to see the energy. You want to see the toughness. You want to see that team mentality. And, ideally, if May is playing, you can win this by 2 scores.
You would think. Yeah.
You can. Just a little note on this, by the way. You mentioned Calvin Ridley before. He's one of the, by share of air yards targeted, he is the highest share of any receiver in the NFL. So, he's the guy for this offense. They're just chucking it to him.
Yeah.
You put Gonzalez on him. I like that matchup for New England.
That's how I feel about it too. Yep.
I think Christian Gonzalez could get himself a pick in this game for sure.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's that kind of matchup for him, I think.
Yeah. So all right, let's do our second ad read, and then we'll get into our picks for the week.
Yeah. All right, guys, I am here to talk to you about Game Time. It's basketball season. We know Celtics lost tonight. Tough game, but showed a lot of heart at the end. Very entertaining game against the Pacers there. They're going to be back home at the Garden a week from tonight, actually, to play the Warriors, and then they play the Nets on Friday. And with Game Time, you can go to either of these games. Game Time Picks makes it super easy to find the cheapest tickets, the best views, the best value seats for these games. Okay, you look at the Warriors tickets, they got plenty of options for you. You're going to see a star on the map next to, the best deals that are out there. You're going to get a little fire emoji next to whatever the cheapest seats are in the venue. And with all-in pricing, whatever that price that you're seeing is, that's the price that you're going to pay. All you got to do is click in to the ticket. You're going to see a picture from that section so you know exactly what view you're going to have when you go to the game. Makes everything easy, and it's cheap with a lowest price guarantee, or they're going to credit you with 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
All right. Nice. All right, let's get into our picks for the week.
Yeah, we'll look at week 8 here. Tough week for you, hey Pat.
Yeah, not great. Not ideal. That Vikings game. Whew.
Yeah, that the Vikings-Rams game did not go the way either of us expected, and that Eagles-Bengals game did not go the way either one of us expected.
Absolutely not.
Still not sure why you picked the Cowboys.
Because I wanted to be a contrarian, and I thought, maybe the 49ers are I don't know, fading or something. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, to be honest with you. I don't know. The rule should always be never pick the Cowboys ever, but I did, and I'm an idiot.
I don't think either of us have had luck picking the Cowboys this year.
No, because the Cowboys are terrible.
Yeah, they are, especially that was. I mean, the game got close at the end, but man,
yeah,
this is
it really
the Niners team that is not what the Niners have been.
That's correct. All right, what do we got for this week, sir?
Let me pull it up. We got our 5 games on tap. We got a Halloween special here in New York City. Texans at Jets on Thursday Night Football. Chargers at Browns in the 1:00 slot. Bears at Cardinals in the late afternoon slot. Colts at Vikings is the Sunday night game. This was supposed to be Jaguars at Eagles. And Colts at Vikings was the one that got flexed, which I think I'd rather have Jaguars Eagles right now.
Yeah.
And then Bucks at Chiefs, a Super Bowl rematch from a couple years ago in the Monday night slot. We could start with the Thursday game there. Texans at Jets. How you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, not. I mean, this isn't exactly a spoiler or surprising or shocking to anyone. It's the Texans, of course, because the Jets are freaking terrible and their season is over. They're going to be 2-7 after this game, and it's going to be absolutely lovely.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how fast this could swing. I'm also taking the Texans against the Jets. Jets are favored in this one, which I kind of understand. I do think the Jets are probably better than their record, and the Texans are probably worse. So on a short week, it wouldn't totally shock me to see the Jets pull this off, but especially with no Nico Collins and now Stephon Diggs out, this might end up being an ugly, low-scoring game. But man, I am not trusting the Jets to win a single football game until we actually see them do it.
I agree with you. I mean, the only time we've seen the Jets actually look good is on a Thursday night against the Patriots. So, that certainly could happen again. The Texans, of course, won 23-20 against the Colts on Sunday. So, maybe you have a better chance, right? Like you said, Stephon Diggs is out for the year, and that just happened. So maybe they have a tough time kind of acclimating to that in a short week. But I mean, you just can't pick the Jets. I picked the Jets earlier this year because I'm stupid. I think actually that one was against the Niners too, and and so yeah, nope, Texans.
The 1 o'clock game in Cleveland there.
Yep.
We've got Jameis Winston hosting Justin Herbert.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting QB battle. Where are you going?
Man, Jameis is just so damn fun. He's just so much fun. And Nick Chubb, like, how could you not root for Nick Chubb? I think the Chargers are probably a better team than the Browns, but they got that Jameis bump going. They just, of course, beat the which I guess they just beat the Ravens, so of course they probably do to get blown out. But I'm going with some fun here and taking the Browns.
That's an interesting pick. I'm not with you. I think we see the Chargers end up taking this one.
Yeah.
I just think I think what we got last week from the Browns was a 1 week thing. I don't think it's going to continue personally.
You're probably right. But I love it. The game of football is more fun when Jameis Winston is playing quarterback. As long as he's not playing quarterback for my team, I love watching Jameis play football. When he is playing for my team, or if he is ever playing for my team, I'll hate it. But if he's playing for someone else's team, that's great.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll take the Chargers. Bears at Eagles. Not Bears, Eagles. Bears at Cardinals. Different bird team.
Yeah.
Cardinals tied for first place in the NFC West right now, I believe.
Yep. Cardinals are a sneaky good team.
Do they pull out the win, though?
No. So I think the Bears, so this could go one of two ways with the Bears, right? The Bears, of course, what a heartbreaking loss on Sunday for the Bears, right? You have 2 drives where you're driving down trying to score. One of them, you hand the ball off to your backup center who fumbles at the goal line. You then get the ball back, and then Caleb drives them down the field again and scores a touchdown to take the lead, and then you give up, a Hail Mary partially because Tyreek Stevenson's being a moron and not paying attention. That's just an absolute killer of a game. It's just a killer of a game. And so to me, it could go one of two ways. We could build off the fact that Caleb looked really good in the fourth quarter after not looking good really for 3 quarters, looked really good in the fourth quarter and, push them to get there and really played well. Or they could just turtle and not pack it in, but like really be mentally deflated and get smoked in this game. Obviously, I have the former, but the latter could certainly happen.
I am gonna take the Cardinals here, although I kind of feel the same way about this as you. I think this can go a lot of different directions. I like what the Cardinals have done this year. I'm very curious about the test between the Cardinals defense and this Bears offense. 2 units that are, trying to grow here. I think that's what I'm going to be watching in this one.
It's interesting. On the Cardinals, I mean, between McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr., like they have and of course Kyler, they have a solid offense.
Yeah.
And they've been a lot of fun to watch this year.
Yeah. No. They've been really I thought the Cardinals could be something this year. I didn't expect it to be, this good this fast. Just being already kind of an average NFL team, it seems like, which you look at a model for the Patriots to follow. Cardinals last year didn't really, they grew into themselves later in the year, started to pull something together, and now this year they are very clearly a better team than they were last year. So I think that's the path you're trying to follow here if you're New England.
But again, right? They decided to give up their first round pick or to move back, trade their first round pick, move back, draft. I think they actually moved back and then moved back up to take Paris Campbell, right? Their starting left tackle or starting. Is he playing left tackle for them? Is he not? They're starting left tackle, and it's worked out okay for them, right? And so we'll see. But of course, and then drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 3 this year. Number 4, I'm sorry, this year. So,
and he's starting to put something together.
No, he sure is. Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah. All right, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, Colts Vikings. Joe Flacco's coming back, so the Colts are actually kind of watchable. But I don't care. I have to go with the Vikings. The Vikings, I've been wrong about the Vikings. I feel like this is now 3 weeks in a row we've had the Vikings on this list. And I've picked the Vikings all 3 times, and they've lost the first 2. And so at some point, I'm just going to pick the Vikings and I'm going to be right. And so I'm just going to keep doing it until and if they lose, if the Vikings lose, we got to put them on here next week so I can pick the Vikings again.
Yeah, I'm with you here for all of that. Like the fact that the Colts just seem to be in such disarray. And maybe, Vikings lose Darisaw, or unsettled left tackle. Feels like maybe teams are starting to figure them out a little bit, and the Colts are probably better with Flacco. Maybe all that comes together at the same time, and the Colts win this game. But, I don't know. I've never been quite as high on the Colts this year as some other people have been. And the Vikings are at home, and they have coming off a mini bye here. So, give me Minnesota.
Right. I like it. I like it. All right, Monday night, Bucks and Chiefs. You know the rule, man. You know the rule. You know the rule. Don't pick against the Chiefs. Put the Chiefs on the list. You pick the Chiefs. Okay?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be wrong. Maybe the Chiefs will lose. But don't be stupid and pick against the Chiefs.
Yeah. Especially in this game. I'm right there with you. At home against the Bucks, a team that's very injured right now. The Bucks defense is not very good.
Right.
This should be a really good matchup for the Chiefs offense. Now with Hopkins in his second week there, they should be able to score some points. Maybe this game ends up being a high-scoring, interesting affair, but with the Bucks receivers in the state they're in, I think this is probably a multi-score victory for Kansas City, especially in that environment.
You kind of feel like that, right? That has to be the case. So, so that's what we got. There's our week 9 picks. Now you want to just do our prize picks really quick. I will run through mine. You heard it during the ad read, but I'll run through it again. I am going with Devon Achane for more than 34.5 receiving yards. I feel like his receiving yards go up every time Tua is the quarterback, and so that's why I have Achane there. James Cook with more than 86.5 rushing and receiving yards combined. So I feel like feel pretty good about that one. And Kirk Cousins with less than 33.5 passing attempts. He's only attempted more than 33 once this year, and it was 58 or something like that, something ridiculous like that. So he's been under 34 for every game other than one this year. So I feel decently good about that one. We'll see if that one ends up being a shootout against Dallas, then potentially, but I feel pretty good about that.
Nice. I like it. My 2 are going to be from the same game.
Ooh, I like that.
An AFC East rivalry.
Okay.
I'm going with Jalen Waddle for less than 50.5 receiving yards.
Okay.
From Buffalo. And then Josh Allen for more than 29.5 rushing yards against the Dolphins. Put those 2 together.
Yep. I'm a fan of that. I do think Waddle is going to come out. He's going to break out at some point. He's been bad this year, but I feel like with Tua not being in the lineup, it just throws everything off. And so maybe he'll be better with Tua in there again. I don't know. So,
but I've got the under for Waddle.
That's what I mean.
The less than for Waddle.
That's what I mean. So maybe he won't. Maybe he won't. Still won't do anything this week. Because he hasn't really done anything all year long. So, but he is going to break out at some point. Hopefully for you, it's not this week.
Yeah, I like that Bills defense. So I think this is the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There you go. How about that?
Yeah.
So you have Josh Allen on the more than rushing yards. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Love it.
I've got a couple miscellaneous notes to throw in at the end here.
Let's hear
it. Defensively, the coverages that the Titans run are pretty similar to what the Jets do.
Okay.
The the Jets play a little bit more of like your cover one man, and the Titans are a little bit more blitz heavy there. They do a little bit more cover zero, but with their zone coverages, it's very similar, which means, schematically, I think you can use a lot of the same stuff that you used last week in the passing game this week. That's where I thought Alex Van Pelt did a really good job on the tape. The Jets like to play a lot of cover four, and against cover four, one of the concepts you can use to beat it is basically anything that has a deep in route is if that coverage is vulnerable to it. And the Patriots were killing them with those. I think if Drake Maye had played the full game, I think he would have had a really nice stat line, assuming his receivers caught the balls, because not that Brissett was bad, but there were opportunities to be had out there that I thought he missed. So
Right.
that I think Maye could have taken advantage of. So and then weather forecast for this week. First game in November, it's going to be 81 degrees in Nashville on Sunday. Yeah, a little untimely heat wave here.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Tomorrow night, for anyone in the Northeast, tomorrow night is Halloween, of course, and it's going to be high as 77. So it's going to be real warm for those kids out there. By the way, speaking of Halloween, my first year this year with no children on Halloween night. All of them are going out with friends somewhere else. So they won't be, I will not be going out trick-or-treating tonight for the first time in 13 years. It'll be the first time not going out trick-or-treating. So
you know what you got to do? You got to go to CVS, get yourself a whole big bag of Reese's or something, and just sit at home and eat those.
That's right, baby. And watch some spooky movies. And I live in the last house in a cul-de-sac, so we don't get many trick-or-treaters, but if we get any, I'll pass out candy to them, but I'll have a little scary movie on in the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the scary movie could be the Texans Jets game.
It certainly could be. You're right about that. It certainly could
very
be.
Scary stuff, horrifying stuff.
Yes, hopefully funny as well for us, at least.
Yeah, a little tragic comedy there.
Yeah.
I'm not a dress-up person, so I'm not doing anything for Halloween.
That's okay.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I are not that type, so we're just gonna stay in, and I don't even know if we're gonna watch them.
We used to do something every year, right? Me and my friends go out. We go out to a party or something like that, and all do some sort of theme or dress or whatever. And I remember one year, like my buddy and I went as like 70s porn stars, and then I bought like a mullet wig or whatever, and he like shaved his mustache. He had like a beard, and he shaved it so that his mustache was like a Fu Manchu, and like, it was like we went to like the Salvation Army and just got some like old. The guy found some purple vest that was like too small for me. I couldn't even button it. It was too small for me, but it was like this wild purple vest, and it was just ridiculous. We had all sorts of things like that. We had some fun with it, but my favorite story ever, my buddy Sean Rockwell, we were going to be he had this idea that we were going to be Blue Man Group. So he bought latex to put on our faces and shaved right before he did it, and then proceeded to put latex on his face right after he had shaved his face. It didn't go well. It did not go well. He was in a whole lot of pain, as you can imagine. And so he was coaching at the time. He had a key to like the locker room, and so he went in and grabbed some extra shoulder pads, and we went as football players instead. But yeah, that was fun. So
I love that. I think the most fun I ever had my senior year of college. I lived in a house with 11 guys. And I think all of us together dressed up as pirates. We all got like basically the same costume.
That's fun.
All dressed up together, and a lot of rum was had that night. I can say that.
Yep.
We also, we were ridiculous human beings. So I think Halloween was on a Friday, and we were dressed up and ready to go at like 4 p.m.
I love it.
Before we started drinking, we were driving around to the campus, stuffed into a van, at least like half of us, blasting the Pirates of the Caribbean theme music as loud as we could with the windows open, just driving around, yelling at people out the windows and pretending to be pirates.
That's so good.
We did a photo shoot dressed as them on the campus, and that was a good time there. But yeah, that's it for Halloween for me. And then this year, I'm sure on Friday, once the sales start going on the candy, I'll head over to CVS or something and
that's
grab
the way to do it.
Yeah, give me some.
That's the day. That's the day. If you're gonna buy candy, that's the day to do it. So
Get some chocolate, throw it in the fridge. Nothing. If I'm getting Reese's, it's going in the fridge right away, and I'm eating it cold. I think that's the best way to have it.
that is correct. That is correct. Also, I will tell you that the Reese's Ghosts or pumpkins or whatever that they have, whatever the special Reese's is far superior to the Reese's Cups because they don't have the edge on them, right? Not having the edge improves the Reese's so much.
Is it crazy
And
to say that I like the edge?
no, it's not. It's not crazy to say that. I just think that not having the edge just improves. Kind of takes what's obviously a great product that makes it even better.
Yeah, you get a different chocolate to peanut butter ratio too. So
That's true. It's very true.
Yeah, it's depends. I like it all. I like chocolate peanut butter together. So I like all the Reese's. Any form I will eat very happily.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So all right. Well, anyways, go out there, have fun, be safe. Don't do anything stupid, please.
If you're wearing a Patriots themed costume, take a picture and tweet it at us.
Yeah, send it to us. That'd be great. Kids in dress your kids in all sorts of Patriot stuff. And that's the easy thing to do, right? You just James was saying, take a gray Patriot sweatshirt and cut the sleeves off, right? And you're good to go. Or throw a kid in the Drake Maye jersey or whatever jersey you fancy. So it's always an easy standby,
I'll have to text my dad and see if I can get a picture. But for a number of years as a kid, I went as Tom Brady. Basically every year as long as I could.
Just smart. Why not?
Yeah, it's what I wanted to be. As far as I was concerned, I was dressing for my future profession.
100%, right? I mean, that's well, it's like my son is going as Miles Morales, and it's like his third year in a row going as Miles Morales. He just loves it, and so it's like, we got to buy a new costume every year, but so what, and he's a fan. He's a fan, and so it's like that's what he wants to do, and so we're like, all right, let's do it. So why mix it up if you don't have to,
And I still have the helmet from my Patriots child-sized Halloween costume.
I love it.
When I've cut my hair, I can fit it on my head. Still, it's not comfortable, but you can get it on there.
That's insane.
Was massive. It was massive on me as a child,
which makes it even better. Like that's what makes it even better. Like you want it to be a little ghetto. You don't need the crazy. You want it to be kind of fun and to look a little silly. That's my opinion, at least.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. The more ridiculous, the better.
Exactly. So all right. Well, everyone, have a great Halloween and enjoy that night with your family and or just yourself, depending on your friends.
I'm gonna throw something else out there because it's October still. When
Let's
we're
hear
talking candy and foods, you know how Pillsbury has they have there's the pre-made cookies that are they have the shapes on them. They also have the higher quality pre-made cookies that are bigger. They have ones that are pumpkin cookies with little bits of cream cheese or something in them.
Oh yes, I've seen those. Yeah,
they are unbelievably good. I highly recommend them. If you see them at the store and you were curious about it, get them. They're good.
Interesting. Okay, I did not know that. I like that.
Definitely a recommendation there.
All right, good call. Yep, get out there and eat some good candy, and remember, always check your kids' candy at night because half of that stuff is yours, right? So
you gotta pay the tax.
That's right, baby. That's right.
And you want to make sure somebody didn't stick Jets tickets in there or something.
Well, yeah, you don't want that to happen. That'd be just mean, So all right. Well, thanks, guys. And we'll talk to you on Sunday. Not 100% sure. Probably at halftime of Sunday Night Football, as we typically do. But we'll let you know if Taylor's going down to Tennessee. It might be right after the game. We'll talk to you and we'll let you know then. But either way, we'll talk to you Sunday after the Patriots battle the Titans in Tennessee.